Hey, how you all doing, and welcome back to the Everyday's Different YouTube channel. Today, should have been travelling Tuesday, however unfortunately, due to certain circumstances, we can't go travelling at the moment, so instead we're having another free day and playing Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. The plan for today is this is a post-commentary of a battle that should have been a commentary, but I failed to press save. So, what it is, it's the British Empire versus the German Empire. And it's an alternate history of the Battle of the Falkland Islands, where somehow, instead of the Germans having 1914 technology, they've travelled back in time from the 1930s with the same 2 heavy cruisers and 3 light cruisers, and are taken on the British that only have 1912 technology, I decided, because 1914 they wouldn't have had. And what the plan is we're going to see how it goes. If the Germans can beat them with 1930 technology, they need more, or if they beat them easily, we're going to take it back a bit to 1925 sort of technology, see if they can beat them again. And if you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments, and if you want to see more, please let me know. And so yeah, I'll get on to building the ship. So what I did for building the ship was, while it may have had 1930s technology, I decided not to go absolute full max out everything I can on it. Didn't go for the biggest ship, decided only to go for the heavy cruiser 1 hull, and didn't max that out all the way to like 15,000 odd tons. Went for 13,500, right sort of in the middle. I then did all my normal stuff, went for Crut 4 armour and all the sort of normal stuff you have to, reinforced bulkheads 2. Forgot to change all the ammo and stuff though, so I've just got normal standard shells and whatever the explosives were, which I think were Cordite 1 maybe, not sure. Went for electrical turrets, semi-auto reload, no torpedoes, then the coincidence rangefinder 5, range detection finder, and then a Gen 1 radar, not Gen 2. I had a double 10-inch turret on the front and the back, and then on the barbette we had a triple 10-inch turret just because I thought it looked cool. And then secondaries wise, we've got a couple of 5-inch turrets, couple of 3-inch turrets, couple of 4-inch turrets, couple of 2-inch turrets, bit of everything, and that's really all I did. Gave it enough armor to be able to survive. Don't think I ended up using the full limit really. I think it was about 13,000 odd tons, about 13,400. And overall, yeah, really like the ship. There was going to be 2 of them, and so that's what I did for the building. And now we'll get into the battle and I'll talk you through what was happening there. So as the battle gets started in the background, I'm just going to give you a bit of a history on what the actual 1914 Battle of the Falkland Islands was. Essentially, on the 8th of December 1914, the British had tracked down the German cruiser squadron that had defeated them in the Battle of Coronel, and essentially the British wanted to defeat them once and for all. It was the German East Asia Squadron that they were fighting. The ships that were taking part in the battle were 2 armoured cruisers on the German side of the SMS Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, and the light cruisers consisted of the SMS Nuremberg, the Dresden and the Leipzig. The Dresden did escape the battle, however all other 4 cruisers were sunk by the British. There were also 3 transport ships, but we'll pass them over. On the British side, you had the battle cruisers HMS Invincible and Inflexible. Armoured cruisers were the HMS Carnarvon, Cornwall and Kent. And you had the light cruisers, the HMS Bristol and Glasgow. So as I mentioned at the beginning, the German East Asia Squadron essentially was being chased by the British at this point, after they won the Battle of Coronel, which is off the coast of Chile, and they had sunk the HMS Good Hope and Monmouth. Upon winning this battle, they ended up travelling to multiple ports where they basically began stocking up supplies. They did go to a port where there was a ceremony that was held toward 300 iron crosses to the crew members, and essentially all they needed to do at that point was return back to Germany. However, Admiral Graf Maximilian von Speer decided that they should raid the Falkland Islands, but the raid was unnecessary because of the supplies that they'd stocked up from other countries they'd visited. They didn't need any more supplies, and most of the captains of the other ships were opposed to the raid, but they decided to proceed for the raid anyway. At this point, they believed that the British fleet wasn't in port at Port Stanley in the Falkland Islands, as they had been told by a steamer when it had recently visited. However, as it turns out, the British warships were in port the day that they decided to raid, which led to the battle that did occur. Now, when the Germans arrived into view, there was actually some sheep farmers, the wife of a manager of a sheep station, that actually saw the ships approaching the island, and they ended up basically calling Port Stanley and letting them know that the Germans were where they were, as the British had no idea at this point, which meant that the British fleet ended up having more time to prepare themselves and get ready for the battle than otherwise they would have been. Otherwise they'd been taken by surprise. Now, at the time when the cruisers ended up approaching Port Stanley for the first time, the British fleet was still coaling at that point, and had they actually gone for the attack, they probably could have inflicted some severe damage on the British fleet that was there. But luckily, they had sunk a British battleship, or pre-Dreadnought, as basically a makeshift bunker to defend the port with, and that was the HMS Canopus. And since HMS Canopus opened fire on the German ships, they actually slowed down their attack, and that unfortunately led to the British being able to mobilise the fleet, and in the end the Germans had to turn and basically try to head out to sea, realising that this wasn't going to go their way. And they kind of realised at this point that if they ended up in full battle with the British fleet, their fate was inevitable, and they were unfortunately going to probably lose their entire fleet. The outcome of the battle, as I said earlier, after the British had caught up to them, was both armoured cruisers were sunk, 2 of the light cruisers were sunk, and 2 of the 3 transports were sunk. 1 light cruiser managed to get away, that was the SMS Dresden, and it ended up to continue raiding British commerce and commerce travelling across the seas. For a little while, continued commerce trading. However, eventually it got cornered by the Kent, Glasgow and Orama, and it was eventually scuttled by the captain after he evacuated the ship, since there was no way that that 1 light cruiser would win the battle against 3 British light cruisers. And after that battle, the Germans' only permanent overseas naval squadron was wiped out, and So they didn't have basically any ships left at that point for a while to raid, to act as any commerce raiders. They did eventually put several armed merchant vessels into service as commerce raiders, but that was nowhere near as effective as the German, what was it, the German squadron, the German East Asia squadron. So yeah, that's what happened in the battle. That's not what's happening in the battle you're watching on screen. So let's get into that and I'll talk you through what's been happening there. Okay, so far in the battle, only one light cruiser has actually been destroyed, but there has been a good bit of beating going on pretty much all the other ships. I think most of the ships in the British fleet in this battle now have taken damage. However, that also goes for my ships. Yeah, there we go. So we've got the Galatea. That has taken damage, but so has my cruiser, the Magdeburg. I think all my cruisers have taken quite a bit of damage up till now. So I'm just sort of watching what's happening. Both my heavy cruisers have hardly been hit at this point. Actually, I think they've been hit. They just have more armor than really most of the ships the enemy fleet can penetrate. And there we go. There goes the first battle cruiser. The Invincible is down. That is sinking, and I think they've switched fire now to the other battle cruiser. Now in this first video, oh, there you go. There goes the Galatea as well. Now in this first battle, I was actually quite worried about the British battle cruisers, as they had large guns. They had the 14-inch guns on them. If they'd hit one of my battle cruisers or even one of my light cruisers, that could have been bad, because they'd have definitely penetrated my light cruisers and heavy cruisers, and on top of that done a lot of damage. The good thing though was that because of the time period, they didn't have anything to help them in terms of accuracy. So most of the time they only had about 1 or 2% chance to hit, which filled me with confidence, because even at this range I had I think I had about let's have a look at this, a 55% chance to hit with my 9-inch guns, whereas they had a 0.5 or 1%. Now, really, when I was fighting this battlecruiser, I was waiting for it to turn broadside, because when it was coming straight at me, I couldn't do anything, really. I was getting ricochets after ricochet. Bit of damage here and there, some fire set, not much else. Then it started to turn broadside, and my ships lay into it, and I think it goes down pretty damn quick. There you go. Literally, I leave for 1 second and it is gone. There you go. And now the Argonaut has sunk as well, and that leaves them with only 1 ship left, I think. Maybe 2. No, 2 ships. They've got 1 cruiser and 1 heavy cruiser, I think, left. So everything is just opening fire on what's left now. And realistically, well, it's only got about 30 seconds of the battle left before everything else gets wiped out. So once that first ship got taken down, really it was only a matter of minutes before everything else got taken out properly. And surprisingly, none of my ships got destroyed. Even the ones that were severely damaged managed to survive. There you go. On to the last cruiser now. And it's gone. So overall, it was a fairly easy battle, the first one. And now we move on to building the second ship. Okay, so after the first load of ships easily won the battle, I changed that on tech to 1924 now, and I'm going for a completely different sort of ship. So I'm going to fill it with 8-inch guns, Total, there's going to be 24 8-inch guns on the ship, with the ability to shoot 18 on a broadside. I'm also not going full beans again for the even though it's 1924, it's not going to be full beans again. So it's not quite got the best rangefinder. It's not got any sort of radar because of the time period. You can't get any. And sort of that's what I'm sort of going for. So I think this, well, I know this one's going to be a lot more fair, and you'll see when we get onto the video what's going to happen. Okay, so now we're in the 1924 battle, and I must say the start doesn't start off particularly well. As you can see, one of the light cruisers gets absolutely nailed right away. Immediately set the light cruisers to retreat, and send my heavy cruisers up. However, I thought the retreat, well no, I made the mistake of thinking the retreat only made the light cruiser that was damage retreat, but no, it made all of them retreat, so that was a mistake on my part. Then I push forward with the heavy cruisers, one of them gets taken out right away, and at this point I was thinking, oh no, I've lost this battle in the first 5 minutes. So I pull everything back, try to consolidate my forces. I realised that really I may as well just put the light cruisers, because there's only 2 of them left at this point. Or there might be 3 of them, I can't remember. But at this point I'm sort of thinking, okay, I think I'd rather just focus on making sure my heavy cruiser doesn't get hit by torpedoes and stuff like that. So eventually I'm going to put my light cruisers onto AI control and just let them do their thing. And do that. However, as you can just see, I just took out their first battle cruiser. So that was promising. I think that was because of torpedoes that I'd sent through with my light cruisers. So then I moved on to the cruisers. Battle cruiser comes into my sights again, and I start hammering that away with my 8-inch guns like an absolute machine gun. It just fires and fires and fires, and that is getting peppered with that. My cruisers, as you can see, are coming around the back at this point, and they're on AI control, so I'm not really doing anything. They're launching torpedoes, and the other battle cruiser has now gone down, so now I'm thinking, okay, this is swung around now. We can easily win this battle. I think at this point they've only got 3 cruisers. I can't remember if they're heavy cruisers or light cruisers left, but it's not looking good for them. So there you go, there's another heavy cruiser down. And I must say, I really liked the heavy cruisers that I made. The 8-inch guns, the pace of fire. Because of what I was battling, I didn't need a lot of armor penetration, which meant that I just could fire as fast as I wanted without having to worry about it. So here we go, coming in, slowing it down now. And it's just sort of the end of the battle. We've only got 2 cruisers left. Isn't really much left to worry about. One of them's going to go down soon. My cruisers are hammering away at one of them. My heavy cruiser is firing at the other. As you see, I just tried to turn it, and then realised, oh, I'm going to be on a collision course. So cruisers are coming across me. One of them goes down. Only got 1 left, and I start nailing it again. There's a ammo detonation or a flash fire, I can't remember which. Either way, that's going to be going down soon. I did run out of 3-inch ammo in my in that battle though, which I found kind of funny. There you go. That's the final cruiser down, coming in to the end of the game. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned a little bit about the World War I Battle of the Falkland Islands. And I just hope you enjoyed the alternate history of it. But the answer is yes, 1930s and 1924 time-travelling Germans can beat the British in 1914. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one tomorrow for Wacky Wednesday.